Speed World coverage of the Score Baja 500 is brought to you by Toyota Motorsport. Our minds are always racing. Led, of course, by Mr. Baja, Ivan Stewart, 50 years old this weekend. And next up, the Ironman. Ivan Stewart, 12 times a winner of this race in the Toyota. And with a little help from Jimmy Buffett and 250 of his close friends, he celebrated his 50th birthday on the eve of the race and talks about what another victory here would mean.
You know, I want this as my present. You know, I worked hard for it all year. We're leading the championship for Toyota, and, you know, I want this one again. I'm greedy. I love this race. It's the right distance for me. It's not too long. It's not too short. 500 miles of Mexico is is the ultimate. I mean, it's where it's at. I remember as a kid reading about Baja 500s and, you know, visualizing being there. Now I'm there, and, you know, these guys are going to be after me, and that's exactly where I want them.
You can't beat greed.
Can't beat greed.
20 years ago, Ivan Stewart first drove the Baja 500 solo and earned the Ironman award and also picked up the nickname that he carries to this day. His Toyota challenged here by Ford, Chevy, Dodge, and Jeep in a multi-brand battle. Look out, Stewart, don't get the thing upside down before you ever get it out of town. Remember, they started a minute apart, so as we watch Ivan Stewart come to the water crossing, and I guess he kind of splits the difference between the slow and cautious speed and running through here full speed. You don't want to come through here full speed. Here's the Ironman, the king of Baja, what has been called a Formula One car with big wheels. It's a very high-tech vehicle, this Toyota pickup truck, a mid-engine affair, single-seater with the seat in the middle, and it's the perfect piece for this tight, twisty first part of the racetrack.
Well, he's really tied up in somebody's dust right now. I think that's Jim Baldwin ahead of him, and this is where Ivan will play it very, very conservative, close to the vest. He'll keep his sequence, and then he'll make his move when he knows he can do it safely.
Get a pretty good sense here of how this peninsula will bounce you around. These trucks have, what, 3-4 feet of suspension travel?
It used to be, we talked about suspension travel in terms of inches. You had 9 or 12, and now guys are asking each other, how many feet of travel do you have?
And here's where they get it. This is front suspension. The real long shocks are on the back, but look at all that wheel travel. Hey, you need it down here. As rough as this place is, you got to be able to suck up a lot of bumps.
I just look at how often that rear tire is really on the ground and how often it's off. Sometimes they tell us we only use these tires for takeoffs and landings.
It's that kind of a course. Now here is Ivan Stewart. I'm going to show you an example of corrected time. Stewart goes through the water crossing less than a minute behind the dust.
Lots of it, and frankly, this piece of highway here shows you how closely these trucks are matched. You could throw a blanket over the first 4 guys, and they're all going for this checkpoint.
Now, wait a minute. This is Ivan Stewart, the second truck back there, and that is because McCachran has reportedly broken the gearbox in that big 6,000-pound truck of his. So at the pit stop, Ironman's going to have an opportunity.
Well, there's nowhere for Ivan to pass here, so what he's probably doing really is hanging back. Because look at there, there's just a wall of bushes and rocks on either side, so he's going to wait until he can get up close to Baldwin on a straight, clean stretch and get him there.
Well, that Toyota, of course, prepared by Precision Preparation Incorporated, PPI for short. Cal Wells runs it. Cal and the Ironman make a pretty tough team.
Well, I think that Cal leaves me the driving to me. In other words, I go pre-running, I do what I have to do, and work with the sponsors, the things that I think I do well. Cal builds the race trucks and also works with the sponsors. But we work together when it comes to racing and testing and those type of things. And the political end we kind of keep separate. I think that's probably one of the secrets to our success.
We both want the same things. We want to win every time. And we don't want to win by just a little, we want to win by a lot. We're both very, very focused on what we want. I do the best I can for him, the absolute best of my ability, and he does the same for me. Consequently, it works.
What, I would say less experienced crew goes to work on his truck. Here comes Ivan, and the PPI team go to work. And this is a piece of work as they refuel that truck and get it back into action very quickly.
He'll get fuel, 2 rear tires, new goggles, get a glass of water, wipe his face, they'll get it done and he'll get out. And the challenge here, of course, is can he beat Baldwin out of the pit? He got here after Baldwin. Let's see if he can make it out before Baldwin.
All the precision of a Winston Cup or IndyCar pit stop, and look at the reaction from the crew.
Yeah! Yeah!
And there goes Baldwin. And they know they did their job. They put in front of Baldwin's truck and put Baldwin between them and all the others.
Well, for Ivan, this is the best news. Plenty of dust. He will be able to create lead on the field, and hopefully...
You make a good point. Ivan is the leader on the road, but he is not the leader of the race. In fact, on corrected time, he is in 5th place. Jim Smith is still the race leader on corrected time. We start with a familiar scene, the Ironman. Ivan Stewart blasting the desert sand. It's the stuff that video games and Toyota commercials are made of. But when Ivan finishes the test run and pulls back to the pits, now that's when the propeller heads and all of their computer chips take over to analyze what's been going on out there in the desert. There is the vital link between race truck and computer truck. And through that umbilical passes a ton of very valuable information.
The data acquisition system we use quite a bit on our vehicle for monitoring shock pressures, wheel speeds, transmission RPM, engine RPM, throttle settings, brake pressures. We can take anything that Ivan feels in the whole vehicle and put it into numbers to be able to analyze back at the shop, along with video recording of the vehicle, to give us the best overall package to test and develop a car with for the different areas that we compete in.
In other words, it's a perfect combination of propeller heads and gear heads, each doing their job. And the bottom line is consistency.
When we talk about consistency, that's everybody, the team managers, the mechanics, the engine, the Toyota racing development guys that build the engines. You know, I don't think anybody wants surprises. We want to know exactly what's going to happen. And the same in the race car. We want the race car to be consistent and not throwing surprises at us. And I think that's another reason that we've been so successful. We have a tremendous team and every facet of the operation of the Toyota. So it's fantastic, and you've got to have that kind of consistency to win.
Oh yeah, there's one other thing you need. A driver who can navigate two-way traffic with this kind of style and grace. This is Ivan coming off the goat trail. A very tight section, very much a contrast to this, and worth mentioning because it was there that Jack Johnson, who had run as high as 6th, got high centered and fell back into the pack. And we'll be back right after this. Back at Baja, 2 things to note about the Ironman Ivan Stewart. 1, the strategy has paid off. He's taken the lead on corrected time. 2, the driving style.
Well, Ivan has a pretty interesting driving style. I call it a rally style, in that he's not at all uncomfortable using his doors as leading edge. He'll pitch the car sideways to tension the whole thing, and then he'll set it with the throttle exactly where he wants it to shoot.
I got to remember this one for a long time. Here is Ivan Stewart. You see the hood missing on the Toyota, a remnant of 2 separate long stops to repair the brakes on this machine. I don't think Ivan's going to catch him.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to catch LeDuc right now. I'll tell you, Dave, what's going on inside LeDuc's car right now. Is he smelling that sweet salt air?
Run here this afternoon. Last of the motorcycle stragglers coming in, and Ivan Stewart will give him a break and not run over him. And it's a good thing Ivan still has enough brake left to stop that truck. They've had to stop and work on it twice. But Stewart will come home 3rd. Not a bad birthday present, but not the victory for which he had hoped. So the top 3 have crossed the finish line. The Baja 500. I take a look at the points. Stewart didn't win the battle, but he leads in the war by a healthy margin in the series point standings over Evans and Smith. And to hear what Ivan has to say about it, we'll go back to Victory Lane and rejoin Bob Bauer.
Well, Ivan, after 4 in a row, here's today.
Oh, darn. We actually started the day off real good, and then about midway through the race, we bent a pusher rod for the brake lever. It cost us about 17 minutes to change that. And then it did it again on the beach, so we bent 2 of them. So the last one only cost us about 3 or 4 minutes. But one of those things about can't win them all. Whoever said you can't win them all, by golly, he's right. But the Toyota ran fantastic. We had no flaps to be at Goodrich tires, so we're happy.